wrestling buddies want to be your buddies.
Hey, what's going on?
Hey, buddy. Buddy!
Dig it, sucker! Dig it!
You got me,
Dig it, sucker! Dig it!
you got me mad now.
Dig it! Come on, King!
Woo! We are just weeks away from WrestleMania. Can you guys feel that excitement? I know I can. Hitting tables in here, getting all jacked up about it. Johnny LaQuasto is not here with us today, so I, Chuck Rice, who you can find me on Twitter at crice17, am going to try and lead this ship clear of all icebergs. And helping me do that today is, first and foremost, our man on the phone from DC. He is Dale Rutledge. How are you, Dale?
Yo, I got a puppet.
I got a puppy.
Bad news!
How are you, Dale?
Doing great, buddy. Look at you in the commander seat.
I know Johnny put on some weight or something, you know?
Yeah, that's the only difference between you and Johnny.
I know, trust me. We're going to try and make it through it all right today, though, you know? Helping us do
You're
that.
gonna do great. You're gonna do great.
Well, helping us do that is also our man, Mr. Scott Narver.
Scott Narver, he's Scott Narver. Curtain jerking padre, he's always there to save the day. Scott Narver, he's Scott Narver.
Thank you, Chuck. Yeah, you're doing the earthquake stomps on the table for everybody.
I'm excited, man.
Yeah, and the listeners are definitely awake from those. And thanks to Heath Slater, the one-man band, for making that music for me.
Nice. Did he have the help of the Social Outcasts?
No. They don't write music. No, this was just at a time when Heath Slater was just a one-man rock band and then made that song for me while on his honeymoon.
Fair enough.
Hard times, Daddy. Hard times,
Hard
Daddy.
times. And then he got replaced by a computer.
It's happening all over the world, damn it. Well, lastly, in studio with us today is Mr. Bill Hanstock.
Hey, everybody.
And unfortunately, you don't have theme music, but
Well, I mean, not for lack of trying.
we still love you.
Thanks.
Bill,
Thanks
I
for
mean,
I could hum something if you want.
Yeah,
Bill.
it's kind of close to some existing theme music, but you know, I'll take it. I like that. Add that to the drops.
and for those of you who aren't familiar with Bill, you have probably read a bunch of his writing online, whether it's about wrestling or Total Divas or any of those fantastic things. Bill, where can they find you?
You can find me on Twitter at Sundown Motel. You can find You can find my writing at cagesightseats.com, sbnation.com/wrestling. You can also find me every Wednesday on AfterBuzz TV as part of the NXT Team After Show.
Nice.
And I also have a weekly wrestling podcast, Rita Radio. So you can find me all over the internet. Mm-hmm. Many different locations.
Video, audio, written.
Mm-hmm.
You represent all.
All the stuff. I got it all. Yeah, there's even a video of me interviewing Stephanie McMahon. It's like one of the highlights of my career.
Oh. Well, one of my favorites is still the GIF or GIF video.
Yes.
I like how annoyed Seth Rollins is by it, but it's like, come on.
Renee Young was like disgusted. But I got Stephanie McMahon to laugh, thinking about reminding her that Halftime Heat existed. So that was the highlight of my career/life.
Very nice.
Do you know what one of the highlights of your career of my life is, Bill?
What's up?
When you were on this show with us and you became one of Stevie Ray's favorite people.
Yeah, no, it was fun. I like Stevie Ray quite a bit.
Excellent.
He was a very good interview for me, and thanks to you setting us up.
Hey, absolutely. He's a fun guy to talk to.
But we've got another fun guy to talk to, right?
We do. We have one of my favorite people in the wrestling industry who a lot of people are familiar with him. A lot of people might not be, but he is a hell of an artist, and I think he might be on the phone with us now.
Not quite yet.
Standing by.
He's standing by. Well, for those of you that aren't familiar with him, he is Rob Shamburger.
He's got to wash his hands.
Mm-hmm.
He's got to wash his hands, maybe his feet.
Yeah, he can't get paint on the phone.
He's well-known foot painter, Rob Shamburger.
Very well known.
Well, no.
Take that, Jackson Pollock.
Yeah, I'm sure WWE fans are really well familiar with Rob Shamburger because he's got that partnership with WWE the past few years. He's always at WrestleMania weekend. Usually, like his. Oh,
Rob, do we have you on the phone with us?
Yes.
oh, hey.
Hey, listen, we were just going down all your fantastic credits. But of course, you know, we were talking about how you have the internet show at WWE, Canvas to Canvas. You're always at WrestleMania. But one thing that people don't know about you is you also probably have some of the most famous feet on the internet.
I do. They're very popular. People will post in the comments hot feet at 102 or so. People can click right to the feet.
Rob, does Snitsky approve of your feet?
I haven't heard, and I haven't heard anything from Tony Atlas either, but I'm looking forward to the notorious foot appreciators.
Well, Tony's
on board.
Tony's on record as like he's into being walked on with boots. So if you're not a boot wearer, then
I'm not.
You're probably not going to get a call from Tony.
No, these are bare to the bone, baby. Rob, how are you, man?
Doing fantastic. Thanks for having me back on.
Absolutely. I you know, as I was just telling them while we were getting you on the phone, you're actually one of my favorite people in the wrestling industry because every time you and I get to talk, I always learn something new. Now, obviously, I can't share some of those stories on the air, but needless to say, you are very knowledgeable in the wrestling industry, and you have made quite a career of painting wrestlers, so to say. What is the latest project you're working on for this year's WrestleMania?
Gonna be painting live at Access again. This will be my third year. Going to be doing the main event of the show, so Triple H and Roman. Been working with the photographers with WWE, and we've got something pretty dang cool worked up that they provided me for reference to use for this, and I think it's going to be a cool one.
Nice. I mean, so what number, like, you've been doing this the last couple years. I guess it must be a relief for you after Roadblock this past week to finally know what the main event is going to be.
Yeah, like, you know, I try to stay as far away from creative as possible, you know, everything that's going on with storyline so that I can still enjoy it as a fan, you know. But, yeah, on that one, it's like, okay, because I know how last-second things can be there, you know, or, you know, maybe Roman's nose wasn't healing up the way they needed it to or whatever. Like, things could change. So I'm glad that my original plans for this are coming through, and we'll get to do what we were hoping for.
Rob, what's that process like when you're going into WrestleMania weekend and you're thinking about the 4-day painting that you're going to be doing at Access? Like, do you usually pitch the ideas? Does WWE suggest stuff to you? Is there a process of like submission and approval?
That's really funny saying that there's any kind of process with WWE. A lot of things are, you know, called in the ring, as it were. But no, they're just really amazing to work with because of the creative freedom that they give me. The first year that I went there, of course, they were a little more hands-on because that was actually my first public appearance with WWE. I debuted at WrestleMania 30, which was crazy. So they were a little more hands-on, also because they were getting matte painting for me to hang up in the office, and that's the 30 years of WrestleMania piece I did. And then last year, I just kind of said, "Hey, I'm going to do Macho Man," and they said, "Okay." And we were trying to figure out what to do this year. You know, at first, like, we were kind of trying to work in the Hall of Fame stuff, but I've done a few very notable pieces of Sting to where a lot of the audience would just say, "Oh, it's Rob doing another Sting piece," right? We wanted to try to figure something out, and then I've been working with Ben Brown, the archivist there, and he had the good idea to do, starting with this one, the main events of each WrestleMania going forward, which also it's nice to, you know, the plan is for going forward, right? You know, like this won't be my last time, but yeah, like really they just kind of say, "Hey, it'd be cool if you did this," and then I do it. And then also, like, all the stuff that I do throughout the year with Canvas to Canvas, by and large, I'm driving all of that.
Excellent. Now, I want to take it a step back, Rob. You mentioned that the main event painting, or the one of all the 30 years of WrestleMania that you did for your first WrestleMania, is hanging up in the offices in Stamford. But a little birdie has informed me that is not the only painting of yours that is hanging up in the WWE offices. Is there any truth to that rumor?
That is true. Was that the gobbledygooker that told you that?
It might have been. It might have been.
Yeah, I've actually got quite a few there. I've got that one. I've been told it's on the second floor. I haven't actually been to Stamford yet. Then also in talent relations, they have 6 of my paintings hanging up that are notable champions throughout the history of the company, and it's kind of there as a reminder to the staff of what they're working towards, building the talent up to these levels. No pressure on me, right? And then I also did a piece a couple of years ago that was all the McMahon family, like going back to Jess McMahon on down to Shane, Steph, and Triple H. And Stephanie saw that and got it from me, and that was her Christmas present to Vince 2 years ago. And that's now hanging up in his private conference room. They told me that it's facing where he sits to remind him of what he's working for with his family.
That's
Again,
amazing.
No pressure.
How does that feel? Like really, I want to know what it's like when you receive news like that. What are the feelings you have?
That one specifically was crazy because I hadn't communicated with Steph at all before that, and she emailed me herself saying that she wanted it. And then
Was she lowballing you?
I think her assistant does. Christmas 2 years ago, my wife turns to me. We're at her family, and she says, right now, Vince is opening up Steph's present, and it's your painting. Like, yeah, that made it hit home. Every now and then I'll have those moments where it all feels real. Otherwise, I'm just working, and pretty much just sitting in my studio by myself and with my cats. And occasionally I get to get out in public and see that people are paying attention to what I'm doing.
I mean, I think people are definitely paying attention to what you're doing. I mean, WWE just hit a pretty big milestone on YouTube recently, and I think that a lot of that success can be attributed to you. I mean, yours is one of their longest running internet shows, correct?
I'm about to become their longest running. I'm the currently longest running. I'm at 94 episodes with Canvas to Canvas. And for those unfamiliar, it's you get to watch me do one of my paintings, and then now we put those paintings on shirts through WWE Shop, which is cool too, and as well as prints. But and I'm the highest viewed original program currently running on WWE. So not like match footage or previews or whatever, but like of an actual week-to-week show that's all original programming. I'm the highest rated, getting between 150,000 and 250,000 views a week, which I know a lot of TV shows would kill for those ratings.
I mean, it's clearly because you show your feet in them, right?
Absolutely, yeah. That's what brings the boys to the yard.
Rob, you said that this year is going to be your first year painting the main event of WrestleMania, and then every year going forward, you're going to paint the main event at WrestleMania at Access. And by WrestleMania 50, we're going to have this huge stack of classic Rob Shamburger paintings. But since you're going to be doing this going forward, do you have plans to go back and paint all of the WrestleMania main events, just so there's going to be a complete set?
Maybe. No current plans. I have done paintings that encompass all the big moments from each WrestleMania. I did that last year. We have a book that's available on WWE Shop that collects the first 30, and then also been doing that. I've already done one for this year, just kind of based on where it feels like the card is going. So there were a few things where I wasn't sure, like how it was going to work out. Like I've got the triple threat women's title match on there with Charlotte and Sasha and Becky. And at the time, they hadn't fully said that it was going to be a triple threat, but it was just my feeling of where it was going. So when they finally said that's what was happening, I was like, oh, good.
Now, have you ever thought about doing a fantasy line, like doing what you would love to see, or fantasy matchups that matches we never saw at Mania or Survivor Series or things like that, of something that you want to project or put out there for your own creativity?
Yeah, that'd be fun down the line. Not anything I'm currently working on, but that would be something that'd be fun, especially like matchups that would never happen, like Lou Thesz versus Triple H or what have you.
That's awesome.
Absolutely. I mean, Rob, I just have to ask, as an artist, you always, I would imagine you would hope that your paintings and your art would be successful, but yours is taking on a whole other life of its own. Like you're on t-shirts now, your art is being used as props on Raw. I mean, we saw Kevin Owens destroy one of your paintings. Like, well, first of all, as an artist, how did that make you feel?
Well, that was a bad day at the office. That was a real painting. That wasn't like a print made up as a prop or anything. That was a real one. And because originally the plan for that was that I was going to be painting it out front of Battleground in St. Louis, and that's what they were interviewing me about. And then Kevin walked up and thought, oh, there's Rob doing Cena. So it'd be a good time to further my storyline, and it just kind of went from there, which I think is why they brought me on Raw the next night and had Steph and Triple H talking with me backstage. Yeah.
So that wasn't planned, is what you were saying?
No, that was a real painting, man.
Oh man.
Did you get compensated?
Well, they put me and my art in front of 4 million people the next night, so that was all right.
That's not compensation.
I get.
That's not 4 million people isn't going to put money in your pocket. That's not gonna buy you a Crunchwrap Supreme, my friend.
But I guess also I want to know what it's like as an artist to like see people walking around wearing your art. That's got to be a cool feeling.
That's been cool, especially the last few weeks. A lot of the people that sit in the first few rows at Raw or whatever are the diehard fans, right? And so for the last few weeks, there have been people wearing my shirts, just like on Raw this week. Someone had my style shirt on, and at Roadblock, someone had my Sting shirt on, and recently someone had a Sasha Banks one on. It's been really neat to see that.
While we're talking about merchandise, one of my absolute favorite pieces of merchandise of the last few years is the shirt that you painted in the Alphonse Mucha Art Deco style of the Bailey shirt, the Art Nouveau style Mucha style Bailey shirt. I would really like to hear you say that you're going to do a whole line of like Art Nouveau Mucha inspired wrestling stuff. Please say that.
It's definitely something I've been thinking about. Mucha Libre, I guess.
Oh man! Oh, that's so perfect. Please do that immediately.
Right? I need to copyright that right now.
Yeah, before the episode even goes on iTunes, go trademark Mucha Libre.
Yeah, especially with the Four Horsewomen group.
Yeah.
I think
you could do the Mucha seasons. Yes, absolutely. That would be perfect. I'll be your first customer, my friend.
And then I had a tremendous response to the Kevin Owens piece that I put up this past week on Canvas to Canvas. It was a very stark black and white piece, kind of pulling on my background as a comic book illustrator, and a lot of people have been, saying like, "Oh, I'd like to see Seth Rollins done this way," or a few other guys, which I would definitely entertain down the line as well.
Mm-hmm.
Rob, I want to talk about your personal life here for a minute. You're married and
fallen 24/7.
I'm sorry. Okay, so you're married and you've in a sense turned your wife into a wrestling fan, correct?
Well, that's funny. When we first started dating, we're a Match.com couple, although they still haven't brought us onto the commercial. They're really missing out. But I had it all up there. Like I'm a comic book reader. I'm a crazy cat person, and I'm like way into wrestling. So like, she knew what she was getting into, right? And she told me, like, at first she was like, well, that's just something I can put up with, but there was the Royal Rumble 2006 was my friends and I always love the Rumble. It's my favorite show of the year, and I just told her, like, hey, I'm going over to Tom's to watch the Rumble. Feel free to come. And she's like, oh, wrestling, but like she really wanted to impress me, right? So she came along, and that was I believe the year that The Undertaker won, and Flair was also an entrant in the Rumble, and she saw that and was like, oh, like I grew up watching wrestling with my dad. Like she had totally forgotten about it because like back then, like the pay-per-view, there was actually like a station that you could turn to, and depending on how the wires were set up into your house, you could actually get the audio of the show. So she had grown up an Undertaker fan, but had never actually seen him. She just always heard about his entrances and everything, listening to the pay-per-view channel. And so like when The Undertaker came out, she's like, is this the same guy? And I'm like, oh yeah. And she remembered Flair, and by the end of the show, she was a bigger fan than I am. Like I've only, like now I have a few wrestling shirts just because the boys give me their merch, because they don't want to take it home. But I never like really bought anything or whatever, but like she has a full closet of wrestling shirts, and she wears them to the office, right? Like she wears them to like networking events. She doesn't give a shit. She sees her. And yeah, no, she comes with me to a lot of the big shows, and she comes backstage several times. Like she and Charlotte swap recipes and stuff now. She's fully integrated into what I do.
What kind of recipes are they swapping? I'm sure Dale would want to know this.
Let's see. It was we saw them right after Thanksgiving, and we tried out something new this year where she had gotten my wife had gotten a new waffle iron, and we saw a thing on like one of those Carnival Eats shows where they were making stuffing waffles. And we tried that out, and we were telling Charlotte about it because there was a house show like a couple days later here in town, and she was fascinated. So like she wanted that recipe, and then sent her a few other things. I'm trying to remember. If you freeze bananas, like slice them up and then freeze them, and then put them in a food processor, and it turns into ice cream, and it's just a banana, right? So it's like if you're on Weight Watchers, it's like 0 points or whatever. So like they love swapping that kind of stuff.
That's really cool, man. I mean, Rob, I'm always so excited when you come on the show, and I know you're busy. I know you got a lot of paintings to get through before WrestleMania, so I won't keep you too much longer. But before I let you go, I want you to tell our audience about a theory you and I discussed that you may or may not have gotten from elsewhere, but we're going to credit you with it. And that is your theory on Bayley.
I really think, if done right, she could be this generation's Hulk Hogan. It's just all there, right? Like she can really go in the ring. She's really believable as a competitor. But the connection with the kids is so real, and it happened organically on its own. I think that they could just, it's one of those things that if your kid comes to you and says, hey, I like wrestling, right? And you watch the show with them and you see Bayley, you're like, oh, yeah, as a parent, I can totally get behind this, right?
Yeah.
Instead of like, say, like late 90s, and your kid says, I like that guy that has "help me" written on his forehead, and he talks about head all the time.
I like the guys who want me to suck it.
They can really cross over, and she's cool, you know. So like, people that are older, teenagers and hipsters and whatever, like they could dig what she's doing as well, like from a different point of view. I really think that it's there, and if they do it right when they bring her up to the main roster, it's going to be big money for everyone involved.
I like that theory. Well, Rob, on that note, tell us where we can find you outside of WrestleMania weekend.
Of course, WWEshop.com, got the T-shirts and the prints and the WrestleMania book and all that good stuff. WWEauction.com, we have signed prints up on there. Also, RobShamburger.com, that's RobSchamberger.com. Got original paintings and limited edition prints up on there. Every Sunday on WWE's YouTube channel, there's Canvas to Canvas. You can see the new work as it happens. Also, let's see what else we have. Social media, it's at Rob Shamburger on Twitter and Instagram. Art of Rob Shamburger on Facebook, and just generally being awesome all over the place.
Absolutely. Well,
if you see him napping at WrestleMania, let him. He deserves it. He's been working hard. Don't bother him.
Absolutely.
Oh, and a cool thing for WrestleMania Access. Anyone that shows up wearing one of my shirts from WWE Shop, I have these Ultimate Warrior prints where I purposefully didn't paint in the face paint on him. Come up, wear one of those shirts, and tell me what your two favorite colors are, and I'll hand color in those for you. You'll get a one-of-a-kind print.
Wow, that's awesome.
That's an amazing deal. You get
right?
you get an awesome T-shirt and a limited
Customized
edition
warrior.
Wow.
Yeah.
Mr. Schamberger, you truly are a man of the people.
I am.
So.
The Rob says. People's artist.
Well, man, thank you so much for joining us on here today. It's always a pleasure to get to talk with you, talk wrestling, and of course, we look forward to seeing you at WrestleMania, man.
Hey, man, looking forward to it, and thanks again for having me on.
Absolutely. We'll talk to you soon.
All right.
Later.
Jill.
What an amazing guy. Like, the dude is so talented, and he's so humble. Like, I've spent hours on the phone with this guy, like, just talking and shooting the shit about wrestling. And he's so knowledgeable, not only about the business side of how it all works, but he just gets wrestling in a way that it's fun to talk to him.
Every year Access is like one of my very, very favorite parts of WrestleMania weekend, just because it's so cool to see everything, and I always make sure to like stop in and like watch Rob paint for a little while.
It's become a highlight, I think, of WrestleMania Access weekend.
Yeah,
like, I just feel like if he was not there anymore, it would be missing a huge part of it.
Yeah, and it's not just, he talked about like the hanging out with the boys and stuff like that, but it's not just fans who love and appreciate his art, as you heard with
the wrestlers.
But like what last year at Access, I saw Nikki and Bree's mom like just buying stuff at his booth. It's
it's so cool.
I mean, it's one of those things too where his art, I feel like it transcends just wrestling. Like, even though the art that he's showcasing here might be of wrestlers, it's cool in the sense that, like, if someone walked into your house and you saw that hanging up, you wouldn't be like, oh, what a nerd, you like wrestling. They'd be like, if they don't know wrestling, they'd be like, oh, that's a cool painting.
And if they did know it and maybe had a bad stigma about it, it redefines it the way that Rob's art does.
Yes, 100%. So we have a
It's
lot
also
to
been
talk.
really nice. We met him at WrestleMania 30 when we were shooting that video for Nerdist for Compadres, and to see him kind of grow with the company and getting more and more support from them, from selling his art and him doing Ultimate Warrior or Warrior's jacket that year, and then now having shirts with his art on it. It's just great that they are fully supporting him and appreciating what he does with the company.
Absolutely. And I think it's so cool too how him and his wife have like grown together in a sense, like, and it's brought her into it, and she's an awesome woman too. And it's like
she's funny. You should follow her on Twitter. She's always tweeting about wrestling. It's funny that he says that she didn't really care back in the day, but she is into it now. That's
I know, right?
What's her Twitter, Dale?
Ooh, I'm not sure. You'd have to look it up.
I busted you.
She's not real.
Well, listen, guys, we have a ton to cover today and limited time to do it in. But before we get into all that, did you know that the AfterBuzz CEO, Kevin Undergaro, has a new show?
I've heard about this. Very exciting stuff.
So if you guys are curious about a celebrity boyfriend's midlife crisis, you totally have to check this out. It's The Tomorrow Show. Kevin Undergaro, creator of it, and along with his fiancée Maria Menounos. And their other co-hosts are, if I pronounce this wrong, I apologize, Roxy Strier, Ashley Daniels, and tons of others. Watch it live every Monday and Thursday night from 7 to 9 p.m. Pacific time on thetomorrowshow.com, or subscribe and download free on iTunes. Go to thetomorrowshow.com for more information.
Yeah.
The AfterBuzz Network has nothing but good shows.
Yeah.
If you like a television show and you want to see people talk about it and celebrate it, AfterBuzz TV.
It's covered.
And if you watch The Tomorrow Show, you might recognize some of the people in this room in the intro.
True. This is true.
So
Kevin and Kevin Maria are who got me in podcasting, so I'm happy to support them doing anything. But they have a lot of cool stuff that they have tinkering around with. It's cool to see Kevin get his own show. He just proposed to Maria recently.
on Howard Stern, nonetheless, and it was amazing. Did
if you're gonna do it, I guess it was with some Howard Stern on it.
You did it wrong, Dale. You did it wrong.
I obviously did it wrong.
Did any of y'all hear him on Howard Stern, by the way? First of all, it was one of the funnier interviews I've heard in a long time, because clearly Howard has just a good relationship with Maria and Kevin. Right. But like leading up to his interview, the whole time Howard was making fun of Maria's laugh. And then they brought her in, and her parents were in there, and they were kind of clowning on Kevin a little bit. But it was all out of love, you know? But then afterwards, for anyone that listens to Howard Stern show, they know about Ronnie, the limo driver, and all this. Yeah. And this guy proposed on the show a couple weeks ago, and it was a miserable proposal. And Howard was just clowning on him and about how much better Kevin's proposal was. And sorry, y'all got me on a little tangent here. So, but anyway, a lot has happened in the world of wrestling. And we got some news to go over.
Oh.
Is there a news theme song?
There is.
Hopefully for Dale's ears.
But it looks like the band they were booked for another gig this week.
Oh,
so
really?
So no Slamcast news band this week.
The most.
Oh, what a damn shame.
The most immediate news, the most recent news, and the saddest news is that WWE's injury bug is continuing. It is running rampant.
Shane hasn't been able to fix this yet.
Poor
Maybe
Neville.
if he gets control of Raw, he'll be like, my first decree, no more injuries.
No more. I fixed them all.
That would be a great idea. They should have thought of that already.
I know, right? They should have just written that in.
Needless to say.
Wait, but who got injured? I don't even know.
Neville, in his match against Chris Jericho, there was an abrupt ending. And the news after Raw was fractured ankle and shin.
No.
Yeah, like the worst possible injury that like Neville could have, and like for Neville to get that injury like 2 weeks before WrestleMania, pretty bad.
It was so disheartening too to watch the video afterwards,
so
and he cries like Neville is an amazing human being. And if you've ever had the pleasure of talking to him, you know how passionate he is about what he does. Yep. So that wasn't fake tears, I can assure you of that. But
looks like the cape is open there, Austin Aries. Take it. Take the cape and fly.
But in more exciting news, Seth Rollins has returned to in-ring training. So at least someone will be coming back from an injury, hopefully sooner than later. Mm-hmm. And this weekend,
one guy out of 27.
Yeah, Cesaro has confirmed he's still a couple months away. John Cena's confirmed there's no way he's going to be back by WrestleMania.
You know he'll be there, though.
Yeah,
You
right.
know he'll
That's
be
what I
there.
would say too.
He's gonna stand up from under the ring and lift the ring and be like, I'm fine.
He's gonna lift the cell up.
Yes.
I've carried this company on my back for 10 years. Do you think I can't do this?
Yeah.
You chose Shane McMahon to fight for you? Come on.
He's gonna bust in there and be like, you think I can't come back from a shoulder injury, Jack? He's gonna have some photoshops that make other people look silly.
Very true.
Also on TNA, we know that this had already happened, but it finally aired on TNA. Davey Richards, in his match with Beer Money, got injured. They threw up the X. I think it was Hebner who was in the ring, actually, and he's out. But Beer Money did take the titles off of him. I don't know if that was because of the injury or how it was planned anyways. It was kind of hard to tell. The reaction was a little odd on Beer Money, so hard to say, but that has finally happened, so I don't know what the recuperation is for him.
What do you think, Scott? Do you think that title switch was because of injury, or?
Well, I don't know how the Brits can really get into Beer Money. If they were, pint pounds or something like that, maybe people would be more into them.
You did it. You did it.
I have,
Lager shillings.
I have to imagine that title change came as partially from the injury, but also because it was part of like negotiating chips to get James Storm to re-sign with the company. It was probably like, we're gonna push you as something. And
but do you really think
it's
that,
not like they were no names or anything? I mean,
Right.
this is their 5th title reign, so it's not too crazy that they would win it.
Yeah, that's my thing. Is like, I think that like it basically all came down to money, because I don't really think that I don't really think like a lucrative like bargaining chip for James Storm would be like, we'll give you the tag titles again.
Make it 5. I have OCD. Make it 5.
True. Fair.
He has to
fair
win
enough.
5 titles in every
Fair
division.
enough. I scratch my prior statement from the record.
No, it's a
Let
good
it be
talking
known.
point for sure.
Let it be known.
Well, no, it's like it's a good point to make about like where people's wrestling careers are and what matters to them at certain points in their career. Because like, if let's say James Storm was like 24, and they were like, if you re-sign with us, we'll make you the focus of the tag division. Like, that's cachet.
Yeah.
As like if he's if James Storm is like 24 years old and he's deciding between like, oh, I could take like slightly less to go into NXT, or I could take slightly more to go into NXT, but I'll be guaranteed like to be the focus of a division on national television in this other fed. Like, that's definitely something to consider.
That's a big deal. And also, I'm sure the bargaining chip of, hey, we're going to push Beer Money, and Beer Money always did great with merch.
Right.
Like, American audiences, I know, love them. And yeah, it's a cool tag team. It's a cool thing to, of all the wrestling shirts and stuff you can wear out in public, it's like, Beer Money. Okay, I can wear that and sort of just blend in with the general public.
Oh, Jesus. Hey, I also think too, if you're at his age or his level, coming in and reforming a tag team means you don't have to be in the ring nearly as much as a solo push. So it could be something where it was part of coming back that he would have to work a little less.
Yeah,
absolutely. And I mean, look, TNA shows haven't been too shabby lately. I mean, we're going to cover the most recent one later in the episode, but they've been putting on a good product lately. So there's nothing bad about him being there. In fact, and I think this is his chance to really shine in TNA. In other news, this weekend, one of my favorite wrestlers goes one-on-one with one of my least favorite wrestlers.
Still a favorite.
Kurt Angle will take on Rey Mysterio, and Jim Ross and Justin Roberts will be calling the action.
I can't believe you don't like Kurt Angle. That's really weird.
So un-American.
You like know that guy in real life.
Well, let there be no confusion. That is not my least favorite wrestler.
And let it also be known that I doubt Mysterio takes it too personally that you don't like him.
Yeah, because as Chuck's saying, he's still a favorite in his book. Yeah. He's just the least favorite.
Right, yeah.
Exactly.
Well, it's mostly just because Chuck hates short people.
Hate them. They're the worst.
Stand them.
What's wrong with them?
He hates area codes so much.
But that will be on iPay-per-view this Sunday, live from Phoenix, Arizona, on urshow.tv. So that should actually be a really cool match.
And Jim Ross is going to be calling that back.
Yeah, just to get to hear Jim call another Kurt match is exciting for me.
Yeah.
So,
So Kurt having his final match in TNA didn't last very long.
Well, this isn't TNA.
this was never
TNA match.
Yeah.
Let's set the record straight for any confusion out there. Kurt has not retired from wrestling.
Right.
Kurt has no plans of retiring from wrestling
He'll
anytime
never
soon.
retire from wrestling.
Kurt's probably one of those guys that will go until they tell him he is not allowed to anymore. That being said, Kurt has retired from TNA wrestling.
Yeah.
Time had come, and there's obviously
Been at TNA for like 12 years now.
Yeah.
yeah.
crazy.
You know what's funny when you think about it? He was at TNA longer than he was at WWE.
Yeah, that's crazy.
But people are still always going to remember the stuff he did in WWE.
Right.
Over the
Well, because I mean, for everything that he accomplished in TNA, like he never got a chance to like spray people from a milk hose.
Right. I mean, they always, and for no disrespect to TNA, because they tried really hard a lot of times, I think, to really capture that Kurt Angle magic, and it wasn't a lack of Kurt trying, it wasn't a lack of them. It was always TNA, and what they were, people were just not watching at the time, or people weren't taking them seriously, and there's only so much you can do as a performer, and there's only
The stage isn't as big. It's
Yeah.
not as grand. It's not they can't do everything else that the other place has. Like you said, the milk truck and all these types of things. Like you go back, I mean, go look at the matches he had. They're incredible. Him and AJ Styles,
Him and
tore
Joe.
the place up. Yeah.
And it's just, I mean, it is just a difference of like magnitude and like audience size, because like something could be like the best thing you've ever seen, but if only a million people see that thing, that's only a million people that will tell other people like this is the greatest thing I've ever seen. Whereas like if 8 million people watch something and it's a pretty entertaining thing, that's like 2 to 4 million people who'll be like, hey, check this out.
Yeah.
Right.
Like the best movie I've ever seen is Synecdoche, New York, and like no one saw that movie. Like critics saw that movie,
Right.
and that's it. But like Avatar is the highest grossing movie of all time. I've never seen it.
Everybody's blue. Everybody.
I saw the trailers. I think I figured it out.
But I think Kurt and Ray will put on a great match, and it'll be cool to see those two wrestling again against each other.
Yeah.
And lastly, in our Slamcast news, and this one is really exciting.
Lashley's in the
Lashley is in the
Slamcast?
news. What did Lashley do?
Oh, top dog.
Lastly,
Oh.
I like that.
Jacqueline is getting inducted into the WWE Hall of Fame, and this one couldn't come to a more deserving person,
Well
in my
deserved.
opinion.
Very well deserved. She's the woman or diva or whatever you want to term it. She's the woman in WWE that gets overlooked
All the
because
time.
she was like her and Ivory were like the workers.
Their rivalry against each other too was so amazing.
But when WWE made that transition, like they went away from women's wrestling altogether after Alundra Blaze happened. And then when they finally brought women back, it was to focus around Sable and be like, look at this attractive woman that we're going to have try and like create a context for her to like wrestle and have a championship.
The poster girl to bring you in.
But it was Ivory and it was Jackie that was holding that division down. And you had like Terry and Tori and
it always
the Cat.
bothered me too that people always give Chyna the credit as being like, oh, she's the woman that will get in there and wrestle with the men, and she's the woman that held a men's championship. People don't remember Jackie was, I think, one of 3 women who held the cruiserweight title, and I'm pretty sure she was the only one to do it when it was under WWE or the WWF banner.
She might have been the hardcore champion too, from what I recall.
Right.
And
I
she
mean,
was a ref.
Right, and
she reffed for a long time too.
She was a manager too. She was a part of Pretty Mean Sisters. Like she did it all. She was a trainer on, I think, one of the Tough Enough seasons. She managed in TNA.
And she was with Beer Money, I believe.
Right. Yeah, she managed them, and she partnered with, I think, James Storm at one point against him and Petey Williams, and I don't remember the whole feud, but she was amazing. Like
I bet if you asked a lot of women who are like in Shimmer and Shine and even NXT, like Jackie's probably one of the people that they watched as kids, and they were like, "This is a thing that I can do." Like way more so than Sable.
And here's one of the other things that I think, not just that she was a woman, but that she was an African-American woman creating such success for herself and a mainstay name and someone that people recognized in an industry that has often been hard for, African-Americans to break through. You know? And one little known fact that people might not remember about her, she managed Harlem Heat for a little bit there. So, you know, she's one of the nicest people you'll meet. Very humble, very cool, and she's a Cowboys fan, so you know I love her.
She's a Texan.
She is. So kudos to her and congratulations on getting inducted into the Hall of Fame in her home state, in her home city of Dallas, Texas. And that is our Slamcast news.
I hate it.
Good.
So
Split reviews for the.
don't worry, the regular band will be back next week to blow out Dale's eardrums.
I want to know what Dale. I want to know what Dale has to say about Jacqueline.
She's awesome. I mean, I totally agree with you guys. I mean, there wasn't much more that I could throw in there. She definitely broke a lot of boundaries, and I like what Chuck had to say, surprisingly.
Awesome.
Real? Whoa, hey now.
You hitting the sauce a little early there, Dale?
Yeah, and how cool is it to get to go into the Hall of Fame in your home? Like, it couldn't be any better, because you, of course, want everyone you know to be there for them, and it's so much easier when it's right there in your home state.
The next time I come on Wrestling Buds, can Dale be, like, at least half in the bag? Like, can Dale, can you, like, be drunk the next time I'm on the show? Because I'd really like to be a part of that. Like, actively drunk.
It wouldn't be my first.
Like, actively drunk, not just, like, drinking a beer.
Hey, I'll be there the week after WrestleMania, so make yourself available, please.
Yeah, it's on.
Oh, man, that's going to be fun.
Are you going to come on the NXT team for us, too?
I hope so. I gotta talk to him.
Yeah. Well, I approve you.
I'm taking Dominic at TakeOver, so I feel like I should be a shoo-in.
Are you?
Yeah.
Well, sweet. That's good news for me, then.
I have been around Dale when he was drunk in Japan, and it is quite a sight to see, Mr. Bill.
I'm sure it is. Well, I got to watch Dale watch an episode of watch a taping of Lucha Underground, and it was just wonderful. Because you know, as everyone knows, Dale from the popular reaction shot on WWE Network, it's like that, but for like 2 or 3 hours straight.
Well, imagine hanging out with Dale in after the hotel that you're staying at has given you, what was it, 3 hours of free wine and sake, Dale?
Holy crap.
Who can remember?
Dale did some time traveling.
Oh,
man. So, a lot happened on Raw this week, leading us up to WrestleMania very soon.
Some stuff happened on Raw.
Wait. Should we start with Roadblock? I mean,
yeah.
We can start
to be chronological.
We can start with Roadblock.
We don't have a lot of time, Dale.
So I just want to throw it out there. I really enjoyed the wrestling that happened at Roadblock.
Yeah.
And I think there was a lot of things that happened there that you would never normally get on WWE TV. You know, besides certain pair-ups and even like them acknowledging Sami Zayn's chant as his old character. I was shocked that Michael Cole even gave a nod to that. But ultimately, I don't know why. It was just a house show. So, I mean, there wasn't anything that happened there that changed the trajectory of WrestleMania or influenced it even, really. And I just, at the end of it, I enjoyed watching the show, but at the end of it, I wasn't really clear on why we had lost it.
Go ahead, Bill.
It didn't change the trajectory of WrestleMania, but it did accomplish a couple things. I felt like the main event really served both Dean and Triple H. I thought the false finish, like, everyone bought into it, and it does. Yeah. The announcers kept playing it up, and it does give Dean a legitimate claim to the title after WrestleMania. Now he's moved on Raw, and he's focusing on Brock again, but it does give him that legitimate claim to, like, when Reigns wins the title, Dean can come in and be like, look, I pinned the champ. I'm your next opponent. Like, or at any point down the line. Right. Like, I thought it kept Dean really strong, and it also gave Triple H a really important tune-up match heading into WrestleMania. But it also accomplished something else in that it was the official WWE main roster television debut of Enzo and Cass, and they absolutely tore the house down with the Revival. Yes. And they got a huge reaction from the crowd, and they got everyone in the palm of their hand. And you were talking about the wrestling, and I love these WWE Network specials because I love house show wrestling. house show style wrestling, and I love being able to see it because we never see it on TV and we never see it on pay-per-view. So it's great to see.
It's
that
exciting
style.
to see them allow them to still do house show style wrestling when they're broadcasting it like this.
And you get to see more of people's personalities. You get to see moves that they don't normally do on television. You get to see them play to the crowd instead of the hard cam, and it's a great thing to see to mix things up.
You know,
And go ahead.
I was just going to say the other thing that I think was accomplished from this Roadblock pay-per-view, if you will, was that they really set up this continuing idea in my mind that we're going to get a Brock Lesnar versus Bray Wyatt match at some point. You know, they kept changing and advertising that match differently, and finally they had Bray in it, but he didn't tag in once.
Right.
And that, like, in my mind as a fan, I'm sitting there like wanting to see those two go.
Yeah.
Like, really go. And the fact that they teased us and made us think we might get it, but we never did. Yeah. I want to see that match happen after WrestleMania at some point.
Yeah, we're going to get it later in the year, and it's going to be awesome.
Yeah.
I got what I wanted.
But that's the problem that I had with the whole show, is that it was a lot of things, like you're saying about Dean, like you're saying about Bray and Brock. They are build-ups for things that aren't happening at WrestleMania, when we're in kind of a time where they really could have used this pay-per-view special, whatever, to promote the things that are going to happen, because we haven't had huge build-ups for a lot of these matches. Not really. We've had little small teases of things happening, but this was kind of a show in itself that didn't really make sense headed to WrestleMania. So in a way, it was just confusing to me, storytelling-wise, to like basically have your next season premiering before your last season is over.
I don't know. It's kind of like the Saturday Night's Main Event of old, that it's reestablishing those people again, or solidifying that. Yep, they have all this momentum. Yeah. We're just now surrounded by Raws and SmackDowns.
I think the only thing that they really could have done differently that they didn't capitalize on is if the company is just building to League of Nations versus New Day at WrestleMania, they should have had League of Nations win the titles at Roadblock, because then because you turned New Day face on Monday night, you had them introduce Bootios, they're going to be massive faces now. Have them lose the titles at Roadblock, get beat down on Monday, so that you've got drama heading into WrestleMania, so that they can have that massive WrestleMania moment of winning the titles at the big show.
Yeah. Right. Now, before we started the show today, Bill, you and I were actually discussing New Day and the League of Nations. And Dale, I want to know, where do you think this feud's going?
I don't know. I did find it confusing booking as well, to have, four guys, both pairs, losing, Saturday and Monday. I don't really see how they have a valid entry into wrestling for the title. So I thought it was just very odd booking all the way around for me. I don't really get what's going on. I mean, I'm glad it at least is continuing their storyline, but I think it was done in a way that kind of seems confusing as far as the rules.
But Dale, all four of the League of Nations haven't lost at the same time yet.
Right. See. So my thought is, and you guys, obviously, if you disagree, please. But I think this is leading to a 4-on-3 match at WrestleMania for the titles, probably. And I think, I don't think it's public knowledge at this point. A lot of reports online have said that Barrett has asked for his release. So I feel like before this match, New Day's going to take out Barrett, and it becomes a 3-on-3, or New Day, now that they're faces, will be given a mystery partner at WrestleMania. It'll be some nostalgia name or something like that to make it a 4-on-4.
I think it'll stay a 4-on-3. I don't think that because Barrett's just leaving when his contract's up. So I'm an optimist. I don't think that WWE would be as petty to be like, hey, you're leaving the company this summer, you're off WrestleMania. I don't think they would really be that petty, especially to someone like Barrett, who's given them so much.
Right.
So I think it's going to remain.
And then from my understanding, I don't think his contract ends till June.
Yeah,
so it would still be a while.
Yeah, it's not like he's gone like the day after.
Okay, because see, what I read online was that he asked for his release.
He just gave his notice.
Right.
Gotcha. Okay.
So his contract's going to be
He
up.
said he wasn't going to sign again, is what I had heard.
Right.
Gotcha.
So I think it's going to remain a 4-on-3 heading into WrestleMania. And I think that New Day's going to win. and that's just it.
And
it's a good way to get 7 people on the show.
Now
Guys, I'm just terrified that they're...
I mean, it's not a good way, but it's a way to get 7 people on the show.
They're making the New Day good guys, and if Vince McMahon or anybody else writes comedy for the good guy New Days, that's what I'm scared of.
But I don't think anybody's writing comedy for me. I think they're allowed to do what they want.
That's what you get to do when you're a bad guy, but the second you're a good guy, they get their fingers in there. That's what I'm scared of.
I'm sad that people are already turning on the New Day. Like the cool internet guys who have been into the New Day this whole time are starting to be like, I think Bootios is dumb.
I love them. I bought Bootios. I pre-ordered my Bootios. They're coming in the mail.
Are you going to eat your booty?
I will.
Not something I would think I'd ever hear you say.
Well, you don't listen, Dale. But yeah, no, I just
pre-ordered
worry.
my Bootios.
I worry that it's when a bad guy becomes cool, rather than sometimes when they let the bad guy just keep being the way they are because that's why the audience embraced him, is when they go, oh well, let's tinker with it now. That's what I fear.
I believe that the New Day will continue to be the New Day. They'll just be insulting different people.
That'd be great. That's all I want.
I'm hopeful that it works. I really like the New Day as heels. I know they tried to do something a little bit facey at the beginning of it, and it didn't quite work.
Well, they're completely different characters.
I have my concerns like you, Scott, but I think they're for different reasons, and I hope that New Day continues to prosper. I will say it was awesome getting to see Xavier wrestle on Raw because that boy can go.
And tromboning. Double duty.
Double duty there. Double booty.
Double booty.
But before we move on, do we think that we'll see the Usos and the Dudleys involved in this match somehow? Maybe it becomes a 4-way tag team title match?
They already announced Dudleys versus
Is that
Usos
official?
is a match at WrestleMania.
It's
It'll
official.
be on the pre-show, but it's a match at WrestleMania.
What a waste.
Nah.
No, I think that's cool. I'm hoping that Divas get at least 2 matches and the tag team division gets at least 2 matches where it's not just, well, this one's also going to be an 8-person thing or this one's also a 10-person.
But I think putting a team like the Usos on the pre-show against a team that I think the Dudleys, especially at WrestleMania, and they bring that nostalgia factor. I think that's a waste to put on the pre-show.
Well, this is the 3rd year in a row the Usos are on the pre-show.
That's
and I mean, we are making a discerning difference between pre-show and the rest of the show, but
no,
when
it's
you
all,
watch
it's
it on
all
the network,
WrestleMania.
there's really not a clear division between them.
Yeah, and
except for when you watch it back on the network.
Well, my yeah, that's true. I don't like that they split them up into the two.
Well,
my Rudo Radio co-host Mark Normandin, we were taping our episode today, and he made the really awesome point of like, one, people shouldn't complain about things being on the pre-show because it's all WWE Network. You get to watch it. Just stop complaining so much, people. But 2, it's actually kind of a beneficial thing to be on the pre-show because the pre-show is the thing that everyone gets to watch. It's on YouTube. It's on Facebook. You can watch it without even having to subscribe to the WWE Network, without even having to sign up for your free month that you're going to cancel the day after WrestleMania. Like, being on the pre-show is important because everyone's going to see that, and it gives people an incentive to be like, this is exciting. I'm going to sign up for WWE Network. I'm going to order the
selling
pay-per-view.
point.
Yeah. So, like, having Usos and Dudleys on the pre-show is like, you're going to see a really exciting tag team that a lot of people like in the Usos, and you're going to see a tag team that is legendary, that you might even get the nostalgia bump from people seeing the pre-show.
And I guess for me, it's right there where you say they're legendary, right? And I feel like, from the business standpoint, everything you're saying, 100% agree, makes perfect sense. But I feel like there's a certain respect factor that despite, like how whatever the business side of it is, the Dudley Boys are a legendary tag team. They've worn tag team gold everywhere. They're one of the most decorated tag teams, if not the most, in the history of the business. I feel like they deserve to be on the WrestleMania, like the card, like there's just that certain respect factor that comes with it.
It's just the difference between like New Day and League of Nations. Like, although that they've beat the League of Nations a million times, like they actually have an ongoing thing,
right?
Whereas like you were saying, like making that like an 8-person or like a 8-4 team thing, like it sort of obfuscates the issue. Like it's like it's a difference between like have the 4-on-3 League of Nations New Day match to like end the feud and also get 7 people into one match at one time. It's the difference between that and being like, just everyone, just go. And because that just, you add too many things, and at a certain point, it's just like, why even bother?
And people hate League of Nations. People think Dudley Boys are cool.
Yeah.
True.
Even though they're supposed to be heels now.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, it's one of those things where no matter what, people are always going to cheer the Dudleys.
And it's another one of those things too, where it's like, yeah, you want to pay respect to people for what they've accomplished, but then you risk the backlash of like, are you only doing things for people because of what they've accomplished, like, you know, John Cena or like Triple H.
Right.
Then you get the backlash from
That's
the fans.
That's a great point. That's a great point.
Being the hot, good actor now.
Exactly. Like the fans are like, the New Day is the New Day is the thing. Like these are young people that we're getting behind that have all the upside in the world, and they've already won their feud against the Dudleys a couple times over. So it's like,
yeah, when you thought Dudleys were just going to win because it's, oh, well, they're rounding out the tag team titles, like it's 10 times now. Okay, it's just going to happen. Nope, New Day was just the better act, and that was the way they ran with it, you know?
Yep.
Excellent point. Now, speaking of nostalgia, how awesome was it with Mick Foley on Raw this week in that moment with Dean Ambrose?
It was bequeath week for wrestling. We had Kurt Angle bequeathing his ankle lock to Davey Richards, which totally backfired on Davey Richards' ankle.
The curse of the ankle lock.
And then, Mick Foley bequeathing the barbed wire bat, which is kind of a shame. I dug the crowbar.
The crowbar was awesome, but I popped when Mick Foley pulled out that box, and I was like, oh, it's the barbed wire bat, and it was. And what did you think, Dale?
She has a name. Her name is Barbie. It was awesome. I would like to see Foley even at ringside or something. I mean, I know they're looking to have as many names as possible at Mania, but I think he could be somebody that even just being around or giving a nice pep talk before Dean goes out or something. I'd love to have him continue the storyline. It's great. Hey, and especially if that makes the difference maker to win the match. I think that would be a nice little ode to Foley too.
Yeah, you should have told him, don't wear a t-shirt out there, otherwise you're going to get hit with this bat.
Yes.
Make sure Brock wears a shirt.
Very good point. I loved the crowbar showdown with Dean and Brock, but it made me a little bit sad because it's like, in the past month, we've seen twice on Lucha Underground Johnny Mundo take like a full arm swing with a lead pipe to someone's head, like literally attempted murder on television. And this week we like Dean Ambrose is like, he's not going to hit Brock Lesnar with that crowbar.
But you know what?
Point.
But
and you know it's just going to bend over his head in the shape of his head.
That would be great.
And pulls it back like, oh no.
But
just
props to
full-on Looney
Brock
Tunes.
because most of the time when a showdown like this happens, they just walk to the back and don't do anything. Brock got up on the apron like he made me believe he might actually get in the ring.
Yeah,
I thought he might.
Also, the terrifying thing about Brock Lesnar is even if you have a crowbar, there's a chance that he'll reach you before you can hit him with that crowbar.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Brock is I really think there's not one match on the WrestleMania card right now that has me sitting here like I think top to bottom they're all going to be solid matches that'll be entertaining. There's not one that really gets me like, oh my god, that is that's gonna be the one. But if I had to pick one right now, I think it's Dean Ambrose, Brock Lesnar.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think.
I mean, with a street fight stipulation, you just never know what's going to happen, and then you add Brock into that mix. I mean, it definitely could go wicked wild.
Right, and don't forget you'll have Paul Heyman around the ring too, and you never know what dastardly shit he's gonna pull.
True.
So
he could bring out New Jack.
Oh my god.
Good throwback, Darby.
Thanks.
In other news on Raw this week, how about that Dolph Ziggler promo?
Yep.
Yeah. No one's excited about it besides me.
No.
When it happened, I was like, points to them for doing something different and getting someone else involved, but it's just sad. Like it's sad. It's sad because it's sad for me because for years I've been one of my talking points has been like, don't worry about Dolph Ziggler. Dolph Ziggler's fine because he's one of the only people on the entire WWE roster and NXT that he has this quality about him that the fans will always be behind him and they'll always be ready for him to do something good. They're not going to turn on him. They're always going to be there. And so you can hold him in reserve. He can be your break glass in case of emergency champion or whatever, because people will always support him. Like full
You don't
on.
think this is a time right now with the state of the WWE with its current injuries and everything that maybe this is the time to break the glass in case of an emergency?
I think post SummerSlam 2014 was the time for Dolph Ziggler. But anyway, like this promo was just sort of like people didn't really buy it. And like I think for the first time, this is like Dolph like experiencing like the fans don't really buy it, and it's sad. And I think that Dean Ambrose has that now, and the thing about Dolph is WWE absolutely knew that about Dolph is like we don't have to worry about protecting his spot. We don't have to worry about how he looks because the fans will always be there for him. And now they're maybe discovering that's not necessarily true now. But I think Dean, they understand that about Dean, where it's like with Seth Rollins, people may not buy him, they may not like him when he was around. Keep him in that main event, keep that belt on him, make him a prominent figure. With Roman Reigns, they have to be very careful because people are ready to turn on him. So they had to be like, here's a focus, here's what you have to do with Roman Reigns. But with Dean Ambrose, they fully know. He's main event level, people want to see him be champion, but they're always going to want to see him be champion, so we don't have to keep him in a spot. We can put him over here, and then when the day comes, people will be going crazy for him. They don't have to worry about how he looks or protecting him.
See,
Now, are you saying that about Ziggler because of the way that Pittsburgh reacted, or
Yeah, I'm saying like
an online?
Yeah, that crowd may have been an anomaly. I'm just saying that overall, Dolph Ziggler's cool. Dolph Ziggler's fine.
See, I think that match that happened last night after that, his match with Triple H, was a great match.
Yeah.
And I think...
Yeah, me too.
And I really think that is one of the best things that could have happened to Ziggler, because right now we don't know what he's going to be doing on WrestleMania. Imagine he'll probably end up in the Intercontinental title match or something like that. But getting in there and having a match like that with Triple H as, like him as the champion and... really going toe-to-toe with him in a way we haven't seen before, even though they, feuded a bit when he was Spirit Squad back in the day and stuff. And that, I think, only helped Ziggler in the long run because Triple H got in there with him and knows, all right, he can go, and I can get him on that main event level. And I really think some stuff's going to happen for Ziggler after this because of that match last night.
I think the best thing that could happen for Dolph Ziggler at this point is to become the new Authority Golden Boy. And to have him be like the guy that the Authority is going to put all their hopes in, and then have someone to point against Seth Rollins when Seth Rollins comes back, and have that extra little bit of leverage to turn Rollins' face, where it's like Rollins can come back and have an excuse of like, the second I'm injured, you get someone else to be your future. Now we're at odds.
And I would love that. Would be a great feud too.
Yeah, and it's been forever since Ziggler's been a true heel.
And he's good at it when he wants to be a heel. He is an amazing heel.
Yeah.
Well,
yeah, I think that's a pretty good idea, and I also think the only thing I don't know about putting him in the IC title is that this storyline takes him kind of completely out of that situation.
Yeah.
I don't know where he ends up because of this new tweet with the Authority situation.
Yeah.
So it will be interesting to see. Moving along, NXT this week. Fantastic match between Joe and Sami Zayn. Dale, what did you think?
Did Joe think this was going to go this way? Did you think Joe was going to ultimately be the new contender?
Yeah, I kind of did.
I was hoping, but I didn't think that'd necessarily be the case.
Unfortunately, it's part of my job to know the spoilers ahead of time, so...
Well, don't talk about spoilers on here, but
no,
yeah,
I'm not
I
going
know
to.
there were things floating out.
I'm not going to. I'm just answering your question, honestly.
I think they're pretty much... I mean, we'd have to imagine at this point Sami Zayn's probably done in NXT, right? I mean, is he on
He's on the main roster now.
He's on... Yeah, so he's on the main roster.
He's going to be... He has a match at TakeOver.
Okay, so that'll probably be his last...
Yeah, it's like the Kevin Owens thing where he was still there for a while, but was on the main roster.
And that's going to be the case for everyone, every main eventer and every title holder that comes up to the main roster. That's going to be the case, is they're going to debut on the main roster and then they'll stick around at least for the benefit of pre-taping, they'll be in NXT for like 1 to 2 months after they make their main roster debut, just to finish out their storyline.
And for the sake of the audience going like, oh, that guy's on NXT as well, and they mention that he's on NXT, so to get people to tune into it.
Right. I mean...
Yeah, I think it's pretty smart, and what an honor for Sami Zayn to go have a match at TakeOver and at WrestleMania. I think everything turns out the way that we expect. That is so freaking cool.
Yeah, I'm really happy for him.
Yeah, I mean, and that NXT TakeOver card is just shaping up. I mean, look, right now, if I had to say what do I want to see more of this WrestleMania weekend, I'd say that card probably outshining the WrestleMania card at the moment.
Yeah.
I mean, think of some of the matches you have. I mean, and our boy Austin Aries is going to be on it now too, we know. You know, so
that match is going to be awesome. Him and Baron Corbin. That's going to be a great match.
It's going to be good.
If anyone could get a good match out of Baron Corbin, it's going to be Austin Aries.
Baron Corbin's been awesome, man.
I do not like the guy.
Ever since TakeOver Brooklyn, he's found another gear. That match with Joe got him super motivated.
Second gear.
No, he's great, man. He's awesome. He's a great natural heel. His character is one of the most creative and perfect characters in a really long time, and his motivation is amazing. Him yelling at indie wrestlers to go back to Ring of Honor even when they've never wrestled in Ring of Honor, it's awesome, man. Baron Corbin's a perfect natural heel. He's the perfect heel for NXT, and since that match with Joe, he's just been like, every one of his matches has been great.
Right. Dale, which one are you most looking forward to at TakeOver?
Well, I think they've only officially announced 2 matches, right? Austin Aries versus Baron Corbin, and then the main title. So, I mean, I love Finn Balor and Austin Aries. So don't we also know that oh man, I'm drawing a blank. Our New Japan star that just signed.
WWE did leak that, so I guess we can talk about it.
It's not like a spoiler. They said that's where he's debuting.
Yeah.
Okay. Did they? But they didn't say what match he was in, right? They just said that he would be debuting there.
I think they did say what match, but in case they didn't, we won't say.
Yeah. I mean, obviously, anytime a New Japan guy comes over, I get really excited because my art is in New Japan. But I also get worrisome because NXT is the right place for it. But then I just always look down the road and wonder if guys like that will get respected properly on the main roster.
True that. Well, I guess only time will tell. And I'm looking forward to seeing how that card shapes up as we go further along. That said, Scott, what'd you think of Impact Wrestling this week?
It's pretty monumental. It's a pretty big one. I mean, the whole show revolved around Kurt Angle. I really appreciate the fact...
I hated that, by the way.
I know.
Hated that.
You're like, talk about Mysterio.
He's your least favorite, right?
Yeah. Impact should have been about what's happening on Lucha Underground this week.
Yeah, what the hell? I appreciated that they did the send-off and goodbye to Kurt Angle with the roster and everyone at the top of the show. That was a different structured move than what WWE does. That they would always do that at the end of a show and you get the goodbyes and then, you know, the aftermath of stuff that happens. They did that at the top of the show, which I dug for the fact that it was different. And then obviously that match was killer and everything that happened after that match was totally unexpected. So they have the match. Go ahead.
I think that's why they did everything at the top of the show, because it left room for things to get interesting at the end.
Yeah, progressing story that Lashley gets up, hugs Angle after their really great match, and then keeps spearing him, and then is spearing the locker room as they come out and making Lashley look like a monster. It was cool. I dug that.
Does Bobby Lashley have a catchphrase?
I think he's trying to say he's the top dog now.
Okay. Did he have a catchphrase in WWE?
No. Okay. He had the worst Titantron of anybody on the planet because it said, I'm probably paraphrasing, speak soft, hit hard. Because he's not going to talk because
he's got a little baby voice.
Yeah, he's got baby voice.
You know, whenever you talk about Lashley these days, I always just sit there and wonder: does he ever regret being put in that WrestleMania match where he had to fight on Donald Trump's behalf?
No. Nope, because he got paid.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Like, whatever.
But that was a cool moment.
One of the best things that happened this past week was Kenny King's tweet. Did you guys see that?
No, I didn't. What
Kenny
happened?
King tweeted out a picture from WrestleMania 23 main event where Bobby Lashley's like got his arms raised and Donald Trump's like raising his arm, and Kenny King's tweet was like, Bobby, I'm blaming you for all of this because all you had to do was clothesline this dude one time.
That's pretty amazing. I'm gonna have to find that.
Yeah.
The only thing I was bummed out about Impact Wrestling this week was Jimmy Havoc in the King of the Mountain title match got pinned twice. So he just, not a lot of guys got pinned. It was Jimmy Havoc that just kept getting the shaft.
Especially when you have guys in there that we have literally never seen before.
Mm-hmm.
And then this guy who's now a new part of the roster is the one that, I mean, granted, he did get a good spot off the top of the, I don't know what you call it, a cage or the cell or whatever.
Yeah.
But, I mean, ultimately, I agree. I was like, who are these other guys and why is he the one that's taking all the pins? It was very strange.
Yeah, the other guys are famous British wrestlers and stuff, but it's like, this is the guy that you're introducing in the story with Decay, and wanting to be there, and he's the one who's getting beat up. I don't get it.
Why are none of the members of Decay a part of this match?
Right. Why isn't Decay beating him up to cost him any chance of getting the King of the Mountain title? I don't know. That was odd. But other than that, it was the beer money match was great, and
Gail Kim looked amazing.
Yeah, fighting Jade. That was pretty good. And Jade was really...
Yeah, I didn't realize Jade had wrestled for so long, but I read an article about her, and she's been doing it for about 8 years or so, and it's good to see her get some prime time on TNA.
Is Jade Chung? Or
yeah,
is
I thought...
Jade?
See?
Oh, was there a former name Chung?
Is this Jade Chung, or is this a different Jade?
I don't know. I'm assuming it's Jade Chung.
Okay.
That might sound offensive to the listeners, but hey, when you're profiling and doing detective work, you got to go with the leads.
But you know, it's we record on the same day as TNA, so tonight or yesterday, as you may know it, they have a live episode again. So I guess we're caught up. I guess there's nothing else in the can. I'm not officially sure.
Yeah.
But Jeff is going to be making his debut against EY, who is, you know, real life or storyline. I'm not 100% took him out of action.
Paul drove
so it
him.
should be pretty cool.
I mean, bottom line here is TNA is putting on a really good show lately. If you guys haven't checked it out yet, you really need to. They're doing a great job, and I'm really looking forward to seeing where they go now, like in the post-Angle era.
And Eli Drake and Grado have something brewing that's going to be really good.
Grado is, like, I can't sing that dude's praises enough. He is just fun to watch.
And Eli Drake is owning it on there. Like, we were all impressed by EC3 of what he was doing a long time ago. And now I really think Eli Drake's going to be the breakout bad guy. I know Bobby Lashley will be the monster, but the shit talker is going to be Eli Drake. He is controlling that crowd.
I think Eli Drake, and I also think with Miracle, I think there's lots of good things in store for both those guys.
Right. And, you know, I think an interesting point about Eli Drake is that's another guy who WWE had in NXT and didn't use right, just like was the same with EC3, you know? And these are two guys that really could become not only the face of TNA, like EC3 is already in a way, but I think they could be like those guys that are like, you know, the ones that can really help take TNA to that next level to compete with other companies. So kudos to both of them. Looking forward to seeing where they go. And lastly, of course, not Lashley.
No. Oh.
We
have Lucha Underground.
Oh, see.
It's a really good episode this past week. Not only did we get an awesome main event, and not only did we get a really awesome intergender match, but we finally got to the fireworks factory and saw that goddamn bathroom nunchuck fight. We've been waiting for it all season since the trailer, and now it finally arrived. It was even better than we expected.
Yeah, because you're going like, what is this? What will this be? And then seeing it in full was rad.
Yeah, and I wasn't expecting PJ Black to be on Jack Evans' side in that. And I certainly wasn't expecting Aerostar to finally return to our space-time continuum with light-up nunchucks. And if you guys didn't watch this episode and you're wondering about the sentences and the words that are coming out of my mouth, you need to watch this show.
Yes.
How did you not see the lineup nunchucks coming? Come on, Bill.
Well, once Aerostar entered the room, I was like hoping, I hope he has glow nunchucks.
And he did.
Yeah, and then it happened.
If you've seen him at any rave, you would have known it was coming.
Oh man, yeah, he was
I
just
really
missing a
love the pairing
pacifier.
of TJ Black and Jack Evans, though. I think their characters could work really well
Oh,
together.
yeah.
They have
No,
that sort of air.
It's
about
going to be
them.
great. Yeah, absolutely. And Jack Evans is on another level as far as like being a heel right now. Just not only in Lucha Underground but in the Indies and
He is
everything.
fun to watch.
He's amazing, and he's just got this like natural heel charisma that's off the charts.
Yeah, he's really come into his own. A guy that, you know, goes and finds it and wrestles everywhere there is, deals with different crowds. Like he's got it now.
And the amazing career arc that he's had, where he was like an indie darling as this hip hop b-boy guy.
Yeah.
And then he went to Mexico for like 5 or 6 years, and we didn't see him in USA at all. And now he's back as this like Pokemon evolution of Jack Evans, and it's so perfect that he's digivolved into this thing that we get to watch now. It's great. Like that never happens. That never happens in wrestling, where someone, because I mean honestly, the majority of Canadian and United States wrestling fans do not watch AAA, do not watch CMLL. I mean, there's a lot of good wrestling there, but it's a completely different style. Like true Lucha Libre is not like Lucha Underground. It's a different. There's no bumps. It's rolling. Like it's a different art form, and the fact like that never happens where like someone like will be big on the indies and then leave and you won't see them at all for half a decade, and then you'll see them again and they've completely changed and they've become a complete wrestler. Like that never happens. Like some people go to New Japan, then you watch the New Japan tapes.
Yeah. Right. They go to Japan and it's like you can still follow it and you know what's going on.
Or someone will leave WWE and they'll go to TNA.
Down there south of the border, who knows what happened to you, man? So there it is.
And I do want to say Mil Muertes versus Puma versus Pentagon. I mean, that triple threat was phenomenal. And these three are, in my head, these are like the golden children of Lucha Underground. Like these guys can do no wrong and are some of the top performers in all of wrestling. I would especially Puma and Pentagon, but you know, Mil is just so intimidating that I would say that they are the company to me, and I love those three guys just so very much.
Super great match, and you've got Mil beating like the two like favorite people in Lucha Underground at the same time, pinned them both, and then Phoenix appears, the only person to have definitively beat Mil Muertes in the past, and he cashes in a gift of the gods, and that's going to go down this coming week.
Yeah, that's cool stuff. And also, I always like to tout the fact that they're now available digital. So they're now available on iTunes, so go check that out. And I hope more stuff becomes that way. Like, I hope Impact Wrestling gets their stuff back digitally available, because I don't like watching it on YouTubes and stuff like that. I like to directly support.
Right. Now I have a question for you guys. Maybe
wait, there's a rumor too that, I'm sorry to interrupt you, but they're at South by Southwest this week, and so I'm sure they're cracking all kinds of deals down there. But
that was my
there
question.
There is a rumor that Netflix might be picking up season 1.
Yep, that is the rumor.
Well, this is my question, right? So Lucha went down to South by Southwest and did a show there, correct?
Yeah. Well, I think there's a panel today, and there's a show later this week.
So are they thinking about starting to try and tour a little bit and travel?
They're not going to tour. We've talked to several people from Lucha Underground over the past couple months on Ruta Radio. They're not going to tour. If they ever tour, it's going to be a shock to a lot of people, both inside and outside the company. Mm-hmm. They'll do one-off things like the South by Southwest show when it makes sense. Like South by Southwest is such a perfect showcase for Lucha Underground, because it's like smart indie people. Like this is fully an indie show. Like it's tied into cinema. Like it makes so much sense.
I've said this on the show before. You weren't in here with us at the time, but when I worked on the Oscars, every one of the production people, I wore my Lucha shirt there one day. So many people came up and were like, we love that show. Yeah. They have good production value. That looks good. Like people in the entertainment industry that don't know a lot about wrestling, or maybe don't watch WWE, TNA, any of that stuff, they dig Lucha Underground.
Yeah.
And I think that's a testament that you have someone like Robert Rodriguez attached. I think it's a testament to the staff and the crew there of what they've put together.
Yeah.
Because, like, take the wrestling and the stories aside, that thing is shot beautifully. It looks good, you know. So
For sure.
And season 3 is about to start filming. You know,
It
we're
sure
gonna have it in and
is.
out March, April, May.
Yeah, I get to go to the season 3 premiere taping.
Nice.
Yeah, it's gonna be a lot of fun.
Nice. Do you get to sit in Mil Muertes' throne?
I do. No, I don't. No, I certainly don't. I don't even know if the throne still exists. Like, that's the only downside.
somewhere.
That's the only downside of, like, going to a live Lucha Underground
Yes.
taping is, like, one, you get everything spoiled for you. Two, you don't know what the hell is going on because it's so far ahead. Like, we're like 8 or 9 episodes into this season of Lucha Underground, and now I have to go to a season 3 taping, so I get to have, like, everything spoiled, but in such a way that I'm not going to even understand what's happening.
Yeah, there are things spoiled where you go, all right, so they're together now, and they're not. So
But I think
yeah, you
that's
know things
intriguing.
that happen, but you can't piece it together.
Yeah,
But
absolutely.
that must be kind of fun too, because it's
It
always
is.
like, you know, like in wrestling, people are always like, "Oh, I know where this story's going." It's like great, but it's always about the journey of getting there. It's like, you know, one of my favorite shows on television is Gotham. Now we all know how that's gonna end up eventually, but it's the story of how it gets there, you know. And I think that's a pretty cool aspect you get when you do go to a live
sure.
Lucha taping.
But it's just like we don't get any, like, obviously we don't get any vignettes, or we don't get
No
a lot of
context.
exposition. We just get mostly matches. So
Jeremy
like,
Borash doesn't come out and tell you what's gone on previously to
Right.
catch you up to speed.
yeah, absolutely.
Why? What happens to Bruce Wayne? Wait, don't tell me. Don't tell me.
He becomes Jeremy Borash.
Oh man,
I knew it.
So
what if at the end of
I
Gotham?
would be remiss to not mention, by the way, Fuller House, which is my new favorite Netflix
The wrestling
show.
episode!
You can judge me all you want to on it, but I love it. They had a Lucha episode halfway through that season, and it actually, DJ Tanner gets in the damn ring and puts on some pretty good moves.
and
I
it
was
wasn't a stunt
shocked.
double. No stunt double.
Yeah, she did an interview with WWE.com about it.
Yeah.
Oh, did she really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's too bad. Thanks for ruining the match, you a-holes.
All right, guys. Well, look, this has been a fabulous show. Bill, thank you so much for joining us, helping
Thank
us
you for having me. It's always a pleasure.
helping us fill the void that is Johnny LaQuasto this week.
Such a void, that guy.
Right. Dale, put yourself over, buddy.
You can find me on Instagram and Twitter at The Walking Bill. You can also find me making some dish recipes. Maybe I'm going to freeze some bananas this week. Who knows?
And dude, you
on
might
youtube.com/dishingOnMovies.
Dude, you might need to exchange recipes with Charlotte.
It sounds like it, huh?
All right?
I've always said if you're going to cook it with flair.
Nice.
Mr. Bill, put yourself over.
Sundown Motel on Twitter. If you like wrestling, check out. You must love wrestling. You're watching Wrestling Project.
If you don't like wrestling and you made it to the end of the show,
Yeah.
you deserve
Whoops.
When are they going to talk about Fuller House?
Well, you're in luck. Yeah, you can check out my wrestling podcast, Rudo Radio, on iTunes and at CageSideSeats.com. SBNation.com/wrestling. I have a non-wrestling podcast called Scientific Podcast Goes Boink. You can also check out 3 of my movies that I co-wrote on Netflix: Three-Headed Shark Attack, starring Danny Trejo and Rob Van Dam, Flight World War II, and Age of Tomorrow.
Nice.
Yeah.
Mr. Narver.
You can follow me on Twitter at Curtain Jerks. You can listen to my comedy wrestling podcast, Curtain Jerks, available on iTunes and SoundCloud, that has new comedy sketches and characters each and every week. This week, Mrs. Dad and Enzo Amore, 2 of my favorites in our realm, return for some shenanigans. It is a lot
Oh, you
of
said
fun.
Mrs. Dad.
Mrs. Dad.
Oh my God, I thought you said Mrs. Dead.
Oh.
Breaking.
Well, Ms. is dead to Mrs. Dad.
Oh.
If you listen.
Got it.
So yeah, check those out. And On Your Mark Show, Marquee Extreme is back. YouTube.com/On Your Mark Show. We're talking about Jack Evans. He's bound to pop up very soon. But right now is the interview with Roderick Strong on there. So check that out. You will not be disappointed.
Your doppelganger was in that.
What are you talking about?
And of
You think I
course-
look like Roderick Strong? I'm not that short.
Nice. And you also don't wear shitty little boots.
Yeah, I'm not that short, and I don't wear shady little boots. It's true.
And of course, Johnny LaQuasto is not in here with us today, but you can find him on Twitter at jquasto. He's doing comedy all over. Who knows? Probably giving blood somewhere. Who knows what he's up to?
If you go to a comedy show, he'll give you your blood.
Yeah. He'll just squirt his blood right in your mouth.
Ew.
Jeez.
And of course, you can find me on Twitter at crice17. You can find me on Instagram at Chuck Rice. And of course, you should watch On Your Mark show because it's pretty awesome.
True. And also Wrestling Compadres t-shirts available on prowrestlingtees.com/wrestlingcompadres. Pick up a shirt for WrestleMania season. And next week, we're going to do some iTunes review shout-outs. You guys have been doing awesome reviews for the show. So we still have some comic books to give away. Johan Pena, Menace from Space, Caleb Young, Professor Procrastination. We're going to read some more of those on the air. I know Johnny loves reading those so much, so we'll give him that privilege, and he likes to hand pick the winners.
Yes, he does.
So we're doing that next week.
But guys, it's been an awesome one. And of course, thank you to Rob Shamburger for joining us today. Always fun to talk with him. And we'll see you next week. And we're out.
Wrestling buddies want to be
Buzz
your
you later.
buddies.
What's going on?
Hey, buddy. Buddy.
Dig it, sucker. Dig it,
You got me,
dig it, sucker. Dig it,
you got me mad now.
dig it.